I believe.
Forget about ISIS and the Antichrist. You got bigger problems.
I believe that if the Earth is stationary, it throws out all understanding of the stars. Because you see what I'm saying? Even if the Earth is stationary, it just throws out our understanding of the universe in general. And so that's the main problem that I have that has pushed me to search this stuff is the stars.
Yeah, geocentricity is the gateway drug to flat Earth. I hate to say it that way, but it's the truth. Once you start, even if you just start looking into the biblical narrative regarding geocentricity, and I know some good King James only pastors out there who are anti-flat Earth but hardcore geocentrists.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, you're halfway there, buddy. I mean, because you understand the Bible is absolutely geocentric.
Yeah,
I mean, the Earth is here first, guys.
Exactly. That's the main
sun and moon don't show up until 4 days later.
Day 4, yeah.
Day 4.
Yeah.
And the Earth's not moving. There's over 60 references to sun, moon, and stars moving, 0 for the Earth. Mm-hmm. And Joshua didn't say, Earth, stop moving.
Yeah.
He said, sun, moon, stand still.
Yeah.
And they did. And Hezekiah made the sundial go backwards, which if the standard model of cosmology is true, that means the Earth stopped rotating, rotated backwards, and then ramped back up to 1,000 miles an hour, none of which is biblically supported.
Well, and that's speaking in physical terms.
We take the Bible literally. So I like what Dr. Michael Heiser says about creation, six-day literalists. He says they're selective literalists. They are selectively being literalists with regard to the duration of creation. 6 literal 24-hour time periods. Yeah. And just about everything else about creation except the cosmological model of it. I mean, all the major world religions, when you trace them back far enough, if they're ancient enough, had the same cosmological worldview. So I'm like, okay, if we believe in a 6,000-year time frame with the millennial reign, 7th, then for 2/3 of our existence, the world population has believed in a circular, still flat Earth set on pillars under a dome, with some variance. They had some variation in their understanding. But for 2/3 of human existence, that was the dominant worldview. And even into the last third, the last 2,000 years, you had Pythagoras and Eratosthenes early on. No indication that everybody embraced it, but a lot of people did. Then you get, but it doesn't really take into any mainstream effect until you get to Copernicus, and then Galileo, and then Newton. And everybody went, oh, Newton's a big Christian, he understood the Bible and prophecy and Revelation was his thing and all that. Yeah, he was also an alchemist and a Freemason. Oh, what about that? The devil knows the Bible too, I used to hold Sir Isaac Newton in fairly high regard myself. Until I started looking into the guy, I'm like, this guy was an occultist to the core, and so Apple bonks him on the head in 1666, and he comes up with the theory of gravity, which has never been proven. All they've done is put more theory upon other theories and accepted them as fact. Nobody knows what gravity is to this day. You ask 10 scientists, they're going to give you 10 different answers to it. When you start looking into other aspects of the globular Earth model and the Newtonian physics of it and everything like that, you got the Newtonian concept of gravity and whatnot, bonking him on the head in 1666. The Earth is supposedly at a 23.4 degree tilt. Well, this is a 90-degree angle, right? Okay, 93 subtract 23.4 is 66.6 degrees, coincidentally. The Earth is 25,000 miles in circumference. Well, if that's true, then the math says that the curvature is 8 inches per mile squared. Well, 8 inches is 0.666 of a foot. And you do increments of 10 and 100, you always end up with the 666. So what I kept seeing was so many aspects of the spinning heliocentric globular Earth model have direct numerical correlation to the number of the beast.
That's interesting.
And when I began to see that, I started to think, is this the great deception? The strong delusion. If you read it, what's 1st or 2nd Thessalonians where Paul is talking about the strong delusion, it starts off by saying, because you don't have a love of the truth, God sends a strong delusion. Now, many people think the strong delusion, the great deception, comes from the devil and the Antichrist. That's not what Paul says. Paul says, God sends a strong delusion. Why does he send it? Because you don't have a love of his truth. So then I got to thinking, Okay, well, if God is the one that sent this delusion, it wouldn't be called a strong delusion unless it was strong. It has to be great to be a great deception. You know, so it's not going to be something that's going to be easy to figure out. I begin to think that I'm at war with God here because, okay, if I do have a love of the truth, and I do accept that the Bible's truth is of a circular, still flat earth set on pillars, there's no hope that I'm going to have to convince everybody else who doesn't believe the truth. God sent the strong delusion. That means Rob is not going to have any impact on that strong delusion. The only way anybody's going to see through the strong delusion is for God himself to remove their blinders. That's why, going back to this test, I don't have any delusion in my mind that I'm going to convince anybody, except maybe myself. And my prayer last night and coming out here and flying here has been, you know, Father, you've had me on this crazy journey for over 2 years now. Will you please, you know, put my heart at rest, you know, with some tangible evidence that, you know, he did a lot with the Chicago skyline test, but a billion but people show up. And all that does is you go on, well, I believe this, well, I believe this, well, I believe this, well, you're an idiot, well, no, you're an idiot. Well, where's that going? It's not going anywhere. I want a camera that would be the equivalent of my eye at 100,000+ feet, looking at what I can't see here.
Not gyrating.
Yeah, hopefully giving a nice steady shot. And that's why I'm here, man.
Yeah.
All right, so in conclusion, taking into account what was said in the previous video as well as this video, our plan is to bust Mythbusters. Mythbusters got to 70,000 feet, and Adam Savage looked out and said the Earth has a definitive curve at that altitude, so we have fitted a GoPro with a non-fisheye lens that is as close as we can get to what the human eye would see. So it's as if we are going up to at least that high, but we want to go even higher than the altitude Mythbusters went to. We want to get to a minimum of 115,000 feet. So exceeding 115,000 feet with a non-fisheye lens. That's as close as we can get to the equivalent of a human eye. And to, well, basically test what we say we believe and to honestly examine the results.